Self-deception is a survival mechanism that eventually becomes a prison. It's just like a white lie that we tell ourselves or we tell other people, and we feel like this white lie is not harmful. This white lie is a distortion of reality. In medical terms, we call it cognitive dissonance, where the brain rejects unwanted data to protect self-ego. That's what it's called, cognitive dissonance. Pretending to ourselves that we are not pretending. Self-deception can be positive in some aspects and it can be negative, but the negative aspect outweighs the positive. For example, the positive, not positive in all cases, but some people might feel like presenting a bad marriage to be good in front of your children. That's an example of a self-deceptive behavioral pattern, because you are trying to present something for the comfort of your children, loved ones. In that aspect, it's like a temporal splint of the soul. Chronic self-deception leads to a clinical depression. The heart is deceitful above all things. The heart is extremely wicked. Who can know it? This is not just to others, this is to yourself. You can be wicked to yourself by constantly lying to yourself. Constantly lying to yourself keeps you in a bubble, which eventually leads to your downfall. Because when you exist in a bubble, you believe in your own distorted reality. For if a man thinketh of himself that he is something, when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. The reason why I'm imputing Bible scriptures is because people read Bible scriptures and feel like you have to have a spiritual understanding. I understand that, but there is a reason why God created your brain, and there is a reason why God placed logic. The Bible is a spiritual book and also a history book of lives that were lived, people's story. Your ability to draw out knowledge, wisdom, and apply it to your life is of utmost importance. That's why it's very necessary for you to go through the Bible and read it by yourself, not through the words or the lens of a priest or of a pastor. It's very important. The way I analyze the Bible is there are a lot of stories there, but the truth is beneath. In the case of self-deception, let me bring in another example. All have the moments where we are singing in the bathroom, and to us, we have a beautiful voice, right? To everybody, we are sounding like our favorite celebrity. You want to go register for American Idol because you sing to yourself in the bathroom and then you believe yourself. Someone else, a friend, tries to critique you, but you don't listen because you feel like it's a negative comment on your ability, because your vision is distorted to not see the truth. You are presenting a font that is not real to you, that is not destined to you. The church validates your emotions. You pray, you fast, you believe that if you put in more effort, if you put in more pressure, you can achieve and be a worldwide singer because you believe, you have faith. That's a level of deception, self-deception, that leads you into a direction you do not want to be in. Self-deception is not just a psychological glitch. It has a systemic effect on someone's personal growth. The consequences of self-deception are very grave if you don't put yourself in check. 1, spiritual stagnation. If you cannot see your true self, it means you cannot change. If you cannot see yourself in the mirror for who you really are, it means you cannot change. It becomes a problem where people that are around you, people that know you better than you know yourself. It's supposed to be the other way around. When you live a self-deceptive life, you are not living your truth. Stagnation of growth leads to a spiritual plateau. No further development is possible. You are perfecting a version of yourself that do not exist. What you are doing, closed doors, or what you are trying to improve on, what you are fasting for, what you are praying for, what you are keeping late nights for, is a distorted reality of yourself. It's not what you are supposed to do. You cannot change your purpose with deception. Just because you wake up in the morning in your bathroom, you sing and you sound like Michael Jackson doesn't mean you can be Michael Jackson. Another consequence is its severed connection. Authentic connection requires vulnerability. If you are checked into a false self, your prayers becomes performances. Chronic self-deception dulls the spiritual eye. Eventually, a person loses the ability to distinguish between the lie and the truth because your spiritual eye is closed. Your ability to discern is blocked. You cannot distinguish the truth from the voice of desire. Let's just remember that deception is foiled by desire. First, you have the desire to become something, and then you deceive yourself into it. Sometimes that is your calling, that's the truth, but sometimes it's not. I've heard cases of people saying that they were delusional to become who they are, but that's not the case for everyone. When you are walking in your truth, delusion is not self-deception, it's self-motivation. That is who you are supposed to be. From the medical perspective, it's called a psychosomatic burden. The stress of maintaining the lie raises a chemical in your body that foils anxiety. So living the truth becomes almost difficult because you've presented yourself in a way that is difficult to change. So self-deception is telling yourself a white lie that actually destroys your life. Perfecting a version of yourself that does not exist. So when someone critiques you and tell you that this is not what you're supposed to do, or you don't have the voice for this, you see them as negativity. Projection and negativity is different from critique. As a writer, I've been in cases where my work has been critiqued to the extent that I had to call one of the reviewers to ask a very honest question. And the question was, do you think I can proceed with the career of writing in writing? And they said, why? I said, because the way you critiqued my work, it looks like I'm not supposed to be here. And then he said, no, that's the way other people's work have been critiqued. These are where you learn from. And I said, I understand the process of critique. I understand the process of review of your work, of whatever you present. But I just, took it too personal because I felt like the critique was a bit heavy. And he said, because of the type of work you presented. But when you are living in a bubble, you become defensive, you become angry because spirituality kicks in. I believe I can be this person. I will pray till I become this person. I will fast and then when you don't achieve the results that you expect, you start blaming God. You start straying away from God and agreeing with yourself that God doesn't exist. Nobody sent you to do that in the first place. That is not who you are. You just self-sabotage yourself. So you have to be careful about self-deception. You have to be able to critique yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself the truth. Self-evaluate, self-analyze yourself, your actions. Self-reflect if you are being deceptive to yourself or if you are riding the wave of your desire instead of the reality in front of you.